All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. How you doing? I'm with Gavin Timms. Gavin, what's going on?
Hey, Joe. How you doing, guys? Hi.
Awesome. So listen, this is a special coaching call that we're doing with Gary Proctor. Gary's one of our clients and was just here in St. Louis for a small little mastermind we did a few days ago. It was really awesome having you here, Gary.
Thank you.
And so what we like to do here on these episodes, and we're broadcasting this live right now on YouTube and Facebook, and we're going to be publishing this as a podcast real soon here. So I just want to encourage you guys, if any of you are watching this right now, you can type in the comments any questions that you might have or comments that you might have, and we will answer them or maybe ask Gary your questions or whatnot. So what Gavin and I like to do here is take some of our coaching clients on the phone and let's actually do a coaching call with Gary and publish it live, because I know that something we say here is going to be helpful to some of you as well. And some of you can apply what you're going to be hearing from Gary. Gary may be struggling with the same things that you're struggling with, or maybe you never thought of something that Gary is asking and you think, oh, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? I need to do that too. Does that make sense? So with that, we're going to get right into this. Let me first say this real quick first. If you want to apply to work with me and Gavin, just go to the simple website I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you two websites. You can go apply at coachjoe.net, or you can also go to a case study that Gavin and I did where we talked about how we did a bunch of deals in a couple months. And if you go to virtualcasestudy.com, you can get that information, virtualcasestudy.com or coachjoe.net. So with that, Gary, how are you, sir?
Great. How are you, Joe?
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and where do you live right now?
Sure. My background, I'm in Western New York, Buffalo, New York. Originally from a small town just south of here, about 75 miles, Jamestown, New York. And just got my start in real estate probably 2004. Started doing some creative real estate and has just grown from there. Quickly grew my rental business from nothing to 80 doors in no time, and hated every second of it. Hated the rental business, total, oh man, bottom of the barrel tenants. It was gut wrenching, horrible, and got out of that, moved up to Buffalo and got more into the lease option side of it. And so far, so good on that. Much easier. The profit margins are way higher. I'm really liking the direction I'm taking the business, and you guys have catapulted me to a new stratosphere here for sure. So I love it.
Love to hear that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit real quickly about the lease options you have been doing, and you have a different kind of cool, creative way to do it. Sometimes you buy the property and you sell them on lease options. Is that right?
The majority of them that I've done so far have been that way. So I got this REI Simple set up from you, and we'll get into that a little bit. But what I'm finding is I'm getting a lot of wholesale deals. I originally got it just to do lease options and do the sandwich lease options. Well, I'm coming across so many wholesale deals that it doesn't make sense to pass them up. And I was trying to be laser focused just on lease options, but instead of getting, passing by those deals, I started buying them. So I brought in a private lender. We would buy the deals. I'd rehab them lightly if needed, and then I'd sell them with a lease with an option. In the meantime, I'd go to a bank and get financing on these properties, cash them out, pay off my private lender, and do it all over again. It creates a cash flowing property and front end payday, cash flow, and hopefully a big back end payday as well.
Oh, I love it. I like the fact that you're being more open to different strategies, right? It's not just one thing and one thing only, although that it does have its place.
Right.
Especially if people are just getting started, but you've got some experience now. You're more open to, you have more opportunities when you can do more creative type of deals, right?
Sure. Absolutely. So
cool. Well, Gary, what would you like help with? What is a challenge or something that you would like some advice about?
Well, probably my biggest issue, and has been forever, is the talking to the sellers. You know, it just always seems like I end up with something better to do than talk to the sellers, even though I know that's the most important thing to do.
I can relate.
I don't know how I do it, but I can waste an entire day not talking to a seller. But so I don't know. I don't know what I have to do to get on the phone or make myself get on the phone. When I do get on the phone, I kind of enjoy it. I just don't know what my issue is. So I guess that's my main concern. If I could just start talking to those 5 or 6 sellers a day, I know I could take this to a whole new level from even where I'm at now.
Well, I can totally relate. And the struggle is real, Gary.
I know.
The struggle is real. And for some people, man, they just love talking on the phone and talking to sellers. But if you're like most people, you don't.
Right.
You struggle with it. Gavin, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about the phone, right? And well, firstly, you've come a long way, right, from not being on the phone, and and how much it impacts when you actually get over the fear of that, right?
Right.
I think for most people, you have to think about, well, why don't I want to get on the phone? And I'd put you in the category of you're a super nice guy. Okay.
Thank you.
And I would say that you're a type of person, just from knowing you, that you like to, you like to please everyone, and you want to come across as everyone wants to like you. You just got that personality. Does that make sense? Not that you're crying for attention. I'm not saying that. Just like you want to be liked, right? Everyone loves Gary. Everyone likes you. And I think when the fear of getting on the phone with sellers is not everyone's going to like you.
That's
right?
true. Fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection. Okay. So I think when you analyze, okay, that's what it is, then we need to hit that head on and get over that fear. So how can we do that? We can look at, well, what's the worst case that can happen, right? On the phone, the way that I used to do it is if you've got an iPhone, you have a red button that you can hit at any time and put the phone down, right? So I'm in control, number one. And you know that there's cool people out there to speak to, and you can relate to these people. And when you get on the phone, okay, you do like it when the conversation is going well, right?
Right, I do.
And one thing, I've not had many people go off. If you can control the conversation, when someone is going to go crazy because of something, you just need to agree with them and agree with them and agree with them. Because as soon as you can get them calm, now you can have a conversation. So why are you texting me, or whatever the problem is, go, yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have texted you. And then they'll probably go more crazy. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have messaged you. I apologize. It won't happen again. Now we're calm. But let me ask you this. While I have got you on, you don't have a property that you might be interested in selling.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to buy one in the area. I obviously upset you. I'll take you off the list. But do you know anyone that's selling? And when you approach it like that, it's normally, well, no, I don't have one. And I get all these calls. And then I agree again. Yeah, it's so frustrating. People messaging you and calling you all the time. Just agree with them, right? Because if you can relate and just calm them down, you can then actually get over the point that you want. Okay.
Yep.
And I think, like I said, just that when you get over that and started to do it, I mean, you started wrapping deals up more and more, and you weren't even hitting your full target that you wanted to do.
I'm not even close, not even remotely close.
And you were still doing deals though, when you actually got over that. And I think that's the fear of it. And if you can eliminate the fear to the worst case is you put the phone down and you label them as do not call.
Right.
Worst case scenario. Right?
I think maybe even looking at in REI Simple, you can see the text conversation going back and forth with my VA, and people are mean. I mean, they're mean. So I'm like, oh man, so all of a sudden I'm like, that's the person that's going to be on the phone with me. And so I think I kind of get apprehensive because of that. But when I do call people, 9 times out of 10, if not more, they're totally fine to talk to. So I just got to get over it. I think it's just a psychological hump that I've got to get over.
Yeah, and I think as you start to do it more, right, you just have to break it down. You haven't got to go and start getting overwhelmed making 20 calls a day. Just try and hit 5 a day.
Right.
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 And then it gets better. It definitely gets better to the
Right.
point when you don't even care anymore. But you're not going to change. I can't just tell you just pick up the phone, Gary. That's not enough.
Just start liking it, Gary.
Yeah, just start liking it. Just get on with it, Gary. It's going to take time to get there, right? Yeah. It's going to be awful. You don't want to do it, but you do it. But it will get better to the point when you don't even care.
Right. Right. So, hey, quick question. So I start making calls, and I'm making just a handful of calls, and they're leading to good leads. So a lot of times I'm even having trouble keeping track of the handful of leads I'm getting. But one of the things that I'm running into is I've got a great deal on the hook. Haven't got it under contract. He keeps saying he's going to his attorney and he's getting his payoff notice for the house. How often should I bug somebody like that? Do I push him away by texting him 3-4 times a week? Should I be texting him every day till I get that under contract? Should I lay off him a little bit?
Well, how's the conversation kind of left? What was his next move?
He needed to get to the attorney and talk to the attorney, find out exactly what his expenses are going to be. Needed to find out his exact payoff. He's relatively motivated, doesn't live there. His kids live there and are barely paying any rent. The house is in disrepair.
Did you give him any timeline?
I did not.
So the first thing I would have done is, hey, Gary, can you get it? I know this is what about by 3 o'clock tomorrow? Do you think you can go and see the attorney and get the information by 3 tomorrow?
Okay. Give him a little bit of a timeline.
So when you follow up, deadlines are key, right? And what I always used to do with my sellers, okay, and this is an inside way of not hassling them. I say, right, I'm going to send you over the contract. If I couldn't do it then and there, and get on with them, that's what I prefer to do. I would say, I'm going to send you over the contract. I want you to text me to say that you've received it.
Okay.
Okay. And if I don't get a text, I'm going to be reaching back out to you. Is that okay? And they'll say, yeah, that's fine. So if they don't text, guess what's happening? I'm calling them because I've already positioned myself of what's going to happen. But everything that you do in this business needs to be short deadlines, not next week, not Monday. If it's Monday now, not a week, we need days.
Okay. All right. So I think that's my mistake is it's open-ended on my side.
Oh yeah, it's forever. I mean, it could be December.
Here's one of the problems with that. Sometimes the sellers just don't know how to say no. And
that's true.
They'll tell you they want to do a deal. They'll sign the contract just to get you off the phone, just so that you'll go away. You got to pull back and pull away. Give them some deadlines. What I like to do is give them 2 options. Do you want to talk again tonight at 6 or tomorrow at 9 a.m.?
Okay.
Right. And then if you're going to give them a contract or something, it could be where you just schedule a time with them. Say, listen, if I send you this contract and you look at it, I want to make sure I'm not wasting your time. Are you going to be able to give me a yes or a no? Because I'm not going to send it to you if you're just going to say, I need to think about it. Right. It's like, just tell me no now. I don't want to waste your time. I put it on them. I don't want to waste your time. But then you get that deadline. You get them to commit to a yes or a no and a time when they can get that back to you. And it could just be, Gary, you send them the contract, schedule a time to walk through the contract over the phone.
Okay.
One time, Gavin, I think this was in Jacksonville, we had a seller willing to do a deal and they had some questions or reservations. So Gavin offered to just walk through the contract with them on the phone, but they couldn't know how to do that. So he recorded himself on video, walking through the contract using something like Screencast-O-Matic or Jing, and then sent that video to them with a deadline to, and explained it. And that helped them so much. They understood the contract and they got it signed. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense.
Because it could be, let's talk again tonight at 6 o'clock. Then you can do a Zoom with them or a Skype, whatever that maybe they're comfortable with. And then they do an electronic signature with REI Simple, right? So you can send them the contract, walk them through the contract, walk them through how to sign it if they have questions on how to do that.
Okay.
And the other thing I like to do, a good way to give them a deadline, is to schedule a time for a notary a mobile notary to go to their house. It doesn't have to be like these contracts don't have to be notarized, but that's a good way to get them to commit to sign something. Okay, so listen, I can get a notary over to your house in 2 hours, like at 2:30 today. And then you can, it may not be 2 hours, but you can go. One of the websites we like to use is nssnotary.com. NSS. I'm not sure what it stands for. National Safety Security Notary.com. Okay. nssnotary.com. And they can find nationwide mobile notaries for you. It'll cost $25, $50, maybe $100. But the more expensive it is, then you can have them maybe take pictures for you also while they're there. But get a mobile notary there. The mobile notary, make sure when you do that, the mobile notary has your cell phone number with a special alert on it that sounds like fire alarm ringer on your phone, so that you know if that notary is calling you, the seller's there's a problem with the name, the spelled name, it's not spelled right, or they have a question, and you need to get on the phone and answer that. But that helps with the deadline. Then the seller knows, oh crap, like, no, I don't really want to say yes right now. I'm just trying to get you off the phone. And then you can go deeper into their objections that they might have or questions. Make sense?
Right. That makes total sense. So yeah, I'd love to get that one under contract. And I think by pulling back, it's way counterintuitive to me. So it feels like I'm going to lose the deal, but it just seems like everything you guys say that it works.
It's the best thing that you'll do. They
don't and if it doesn't work, that's great, because now you have a no.
Yes.
Like they don't want to do it.
Yep. No, I'm not wasting my time.
So everybody wins. Go ahead, Gavin.
And when you do a deadline, that's the cool thing. When you give them a deadline, if you get any pushback, you know that they don't want to sign it.
Okay.
They know, I'll get to it at some point this week. It's not obviously a priority. So then you're going, look, it sounds like this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
I get a feeling that this is probably not right for you. So, let's not bother doing it. And I'm pulling away, and I want the chase. Because the good thing is, if it's a no and we're like, I never look at it and go, oh no, he said no. I just follow back up.
Yeah. I can put them on the follow up, and maybe 30 days or 60 days from now, it's a different story.
Exactly.
Okay.
I would still send him an offer in the mail.
Yeah.
Right. But then follow up every 30 days.
Yeah.
Or more, depending on how hot the lead is.
We did a verbal offer, and he kind of accepted it over the phone. So I thought he was going to be all over it, but that's been about 2 weeks now. And he just keeps saying he's going to the attorney. But so I'm thinking it's more so not a deal.
He has a hard time saying no to people.
Yeah, could be.
It could just be that. So continue to follow up. But I like what Gavin is saying. Pull away. Stop chasing him. Because, like the harder you chase them, the faster they'll run.
Yeah.
I want to send one more message to him saying, listen, sounds to me like you're not interested. That's totally fine. If I don't hear from you in the next 10 hours, 12 hours, I'm going to have to take away my offer.
Yeah.
Because I got,
the other thing you could do again is you could call him and just say, look, I've been thinking about it. This probably isn't going to work. You're going to pull away, and it's no problem, because I've actually got another deal that I'm going to look at, very similar to yours. So I don't have to buy yours. It's no problem. So you're going to create that. Oh, you might buy someone else's house. You might get him to trigger, say, all right, enough's enough. I'm just going to do it. Because that's what you want.
All right, good. Good.
All right. Let us know how that goes. I think.
All right, I will. I'm looking forward to that one. That one could be a massive deal if it comes through. So I'm a little anxious about it, and I'm probably coming off as too anxious.
Oh, don't be a motivated buyer.
Yeah. I'm not. I try not to be motivated. I'm taking your advice, but deep down, I want this house.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean.
So
you've got to come off like you don't care. And there's tons of house, and you're inside. You're thinking, please sign this piece of paper. You can't let on to that.
Yeah.
They smell that it's a deal, then they're going to counter you, and they're going to want more money.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary, this leads to another issue of like, you've got to make sure you're doing enough marketing that you've got so many leads coming through the pipeline. It's like, you know what? You've removed yourself from the outcome when you're talking to sellers. You remove yourself from the outcome. You become the disinterested buyer. the reluctant buyer, where they need to convince you that you should buy their house. But you've got so many leads coming in your pipeline, right? You're like, you know what? If this one doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll follow up with them later. I've got 5 more sellers to talk to today.
Yeah. That,
And-
I actually use that kind of in the beginning because when people call me, I've been trying to answer the phone more and more when people do call. And I'm totally blind when they call. I have no idea who it is. And so I come off pretty stupid, to be honest with you. I'm like, oh my God, who is this? Oh, I can't think of who it is because I really can't. I have no idea who it is. And they try to tell me the lead, and I'm like, all right, I'm not sure. I'm just dealing with a lot of houses. So let me see if I can find it while we're talking. So to me, it almost seems like I've got plenty of leads to them. Maybe they should try to sell me on the house.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's such a bad thing that I'm not that organized that I know who's calling me.
Oh yeah. In fact, I forget who it was. I was working with somebody recently. They get so many leads coming in. They're spending $75,000, $100,000 a month on marketing, right? And the leads, they get a ton of hangups. And the sales guys that are on the phone all day, they don't even get to waste the time listening to the voicemails, right? If they called in, whether they left a voicemail or hang up or whatever, they're calling them back immediately and starting to talk right away. Hey, we saw that you called a few minutes ago. Do you have a few minutes? Can I talk to you about your house?
Yeah.
And boom, they're right into it, And if they ask things like, well, you said you're interested in my house. What do you want to offer for it? Again, pull back and say, oh, well, I don't know. I've been calling and talking to a ton of people. We're looking to buy a couple houses in the area. Do you have a property that you need to sell, or am I just wasting your time?
Okay, that's great. That's good, because a lot of times what I found myself doing was getting into REI Simple, which I know I'm not supposed to be in there. That's for my VA. My VA would attach like the prop stream thing.
Oh, no.
So now I see what property I'm calling on, and I can see the comps, and I like, oh my God, so next thing you know, the whole day's gone and I've only talked to one seller or whatever, but I can waste time without calling the seller.
You don't even know if they need to sell their house or what their situation is. Like,
I know.
You shouldn't even care about the house at all.
Yep.
You shouldn't care about the house at all. You're looking for motivation. I think it was Tom Kroll that says you're not a deal maker, you're a deal finder.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So you're just out there trying to find deals. And I would encourage you, and you already know this, but stop looking at the details on the property. Stop looking at the Zillow link. Stop looking at PropStream. Just call them and talk to them. And it's okay to plead ignorance.
Yeah. Yep. I'm finding that out for sure. And I really kind of like the direction that's going. And,
you remember that call that we do it all the time with Claude Diamond, that cold call, he's like,
yeah.
How did I get your number? Like my hair even looks like
call.
his right now, right? His hair's all messy. Like, how did I get your number? I'm a little embarrassed right now. Like, was it about real estate? And you just get them to start, because you're the one asking the questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he asked something like 31 questions during that call. It was a crazy amount of questions, and he got to where he needed to be on that call.
Yeah.
So it's you asking them questions, getting them to sell you on their house.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the reasons why maybe you don't looking forward to being on the phone is because you're spending way too much time on the phone with these sellers, and it's exhausting. It's like, man, yesterday I talked to 2 sellers or 1 seller, and it sucked up a whole hour of my day. But if you can try to keep those initial calls, like intentionally try to keep them under 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think you came up with a good scenario where you've got another student of yours that does that he purposely says he's going into a meeting, even though he's probably sitting in his pajamas at home, and says, "Man, I've got a few minutes before I've got to be in my meeting." So,
position it. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. You can position however you want, right? Third-party storage, positioning, and the big thing is with sales is you've got to use your personality. Right?
Yeah.
You've got everyone, as I said earlier, everyone loves Gary. So let them love you, right. Get that personality across. You don't have to be abrupt. You don't have to be somebody else, but you just control the conversation. You ask your questions and you're trying to help the seller out. If you can't help them, then there's no deal. Just say, look, it sounds like I can't help you. Sounds like this isn't going to work. You know, I understand you want retail, and then refer it to a realtor or do something, you know, or pick an offer and follow up.
You actually had a couple good points, Gavin, where that I'm starting to use in my conversations where I'm bringing in the realtor ahead of time. You know, it sounds like a nice property, you know, maybe you should listen to it. Or maybe you said that, Joe, I'm not sure, but I was taught that by you guys for sure.
Well, ask them, why don't you just list it with a realtor?
Yeah. Maybe you should list it with a realtor, you know, and a lot of times that works. It really works. And they either pull back or they, you know, they're, you can hear it in their voices. Sometimes they're like, oh, you know, as soon as you say they're like, oh, so you can tell that they probably had a bad experience with
this is really important. And Gavin, talk about this a little bit. You need to set the agenda up front when you first talk to the seller. Gavin, will you just talk about that real quick?
Absolutely. Yeah. So setting the agenda, the time frame, okay, the outcome. If you can do this, John Martinez is fantastic at this, right? Is that if you can get on the call and set the call up, it makes, if you're uncomfortable, it makes everything easier. So if the lead's coming from a VA, hey, Mr. Seller, this is Gavin. You spoke to Brian yesterday. I just need a few minutes of your time, 5 minutes of your time. So there's the time, the agenda. I just want to ask you a few more questions about your property. So it's going to help me come up with the best offer suited for you. Okay. So the agenda is I'm going to ask you some questions about your property. Then the outcome, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go away, look at the numbers. I'm going to call you back. I'm going to make the offer over the phone. If you like the offer, then we'll move forward. Okay. How does that sound? And then the big one is the next one. So they've agreed to that. And at any time, if you don't want to do anything or this sounds like it's not going to work for you, just let me know. Say, look, this isn't going to work. No problem. We can get off the phone. How does that sound?
Okay.
So you give him permission to say no. What that's going to do is it's going to bring the level down of you're not there to sell them. So if it's not going to work, Gary, just let me know. It's no problem. And this is how I'm saying it. I don't change on the phone. So if I say, look, Gary, you know, I'm looking to buy a house in the neighborhood, you know, if it sounds like, you know, you don't want to sell or this isn't going to work, just let me know. It's no problem. We've only lost a conversation a few minutes for time. And they'll say, all that's going to do is just relax them. And then you go in. You've staged everything. You start asking your questions, and then the outcome's there. You already know they already know what's going to happen.
All right. I've got to start doing that more and more because I'm definitely not setting up the call correctly. So I think I'm going to try to incorporate that.
And the big one for you is that you like to go on appointments, right? The biggest thing when you go to an appointment, like this seller, right? So Miss Seller, I'm going to come, I'm going to go over the house, going to look, you know, see if it needs any work. And then what we're going to do is that I'm going to bring a contract with me. And if it ever all looks good, we're going to sit at the table, we'll work on the numbers and we'll get it signed and start moving forward. How does that sound?
Perfect.
So then there's no awkwardness. When you see a house, and then it's like, oh, the contract's in the car. Should I sit at the table? You've already said, we're going to sit at the table and go over. And Mr. Seller, if it sounds like this isn't going to work, just let me know. When we're doing the walkthrough or at any point, we don't have to do it. But they're expecting to sign the contract. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Oh, that's so important, man. Setting that agenda up front. Just takes the pressure off, doesn't it? It's like, so we're all on the same page. You know, I'm an investor. You know, I buy houses, you know, and you give the seller knows like, it's okay to say, no, I'm not interested. It just takes the pressure off. And if they're not ready, you know, you're off the phone in 3, 4, 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So then on to the next one. So, hey, the other thing too, that I'm going to probably try to incorporate is, you know, Phil, that was at the same meeting we were just at last week.
Yeah.
He's got his VA texting him just with that list of the next tasks to do. So he stays out of his Podio or REI Simple, whatever he's in. And he doesn't even get in there. And it's so much so that he feels guilty if he logs in. So I think I've got to get to that point where I've got my VA just texting me or voxing me and giving me my next 5 tasks to do. So almost like he's the guy and I'm the VA. All right, call this guy. You know, he's just literally babysitting me.
Yeah.
I love that. Isn't that good?
Yeah. When you get into a CRM, right? We all do it. You get in there, and then before you know it, you're sidetracked, and you're in all the leads, and you're all over the place, and you're looking at this, and then you stop and go, "I've been here 45 minutes, and I've done nothing. I can't even remember why I came in here."
That's how I can waste a whole day and not talk to sellers.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Exactly. And then it's that feel good that I sat there and I've worked 10 hours today, but I still didn't call anyone.
Yeah.
Gary, step away from the computer.
Yes.
This is an intervention. Like the step, because I can totally relate. Like step away from the computer.
Yeah.
Because those of you out watching this right now, I know a lot of you can relate. Like there's a podcast we did. I'll find it here, but like just your VA, get your VA to manage the leads for you. Get them to manage your CRM. They should be the ones inputting their stuff in there. I'm going to look up this podcast number and tell you all to go see it.
Yeah.
It was episode 84, 084, episode 84. It's an oldie but goodie. And I'm really going to encourage you guys to watch this podcast or listen to it. I'm putting it right now into the Facebook and YouTube comments. But episode 84, and we talked about how you could use or should use virtual assistants to do that for you. Gary, we're winding down here. I wanted to recommend a couple things to you real quick.
Okay.
A couple good books. And I know we talked about this before. Pitch Anything. Have you heard of that book?
I don't think so.
It's a really good book. Pitch Anything. And another one called Never Split the Difference.
I know that one. I thought I had it right here. I have that one.
I don't know if you're a reader, but those are two really good books. The first one, Pitch Anything, is really about positioning. And just be thinking about that when you're talking to sellers. Positioning is it's maintaining control of the conversation by asking questions and setting the agenda. That's so critical.
Okay.
I just want to emphasize again the importance of, you got to be yourself, right? Because you can watch the videos, you can hear us talk to sellers in the course, you can hear other people like Claude Diamond. These guys are awesome. Don't try to be them, right? You got to be you. Just be genuine. Be yourself, because that's when you try to be somebody else, it's not going to work. Never.
Right. And I think that's what's happening is slowly I'm developing my own style and I'm incorporating some of the things that you're telling me to do, but kind of at my own pace. And I think once I get over that hump and really start making those 5 or 6 seller calls every day, I'm going to see a tremendous amount of deals come across my plate for sure.
Because you already know what you need to do. I think just a little tweak on how if you can set the agenda up front with these sellers and act as the disinterested buyer, not as the motivated buyer.
Yes.
You're going to start seeing some really good things happening.
Good. I'm looking forward to that because I really want to take this to the next level. I think that's definitely how.
Yeah.
Nice.
And just try and enjoy it. And then anyone listening, you got to try and turn it into fun. Like nothing has to be serious. You're not corporate. There's times when it's not a deal. I'll say to the seller, Mr. Seller, can I just be honest with you? And when you say that, I'll go, yeah, sure. If you were me, let's change roles. Would you pay $100,000 for this property? Does that sound like a good deal to you? Because it's not. They know it isn't. And then they'll go, well, and they'll probably say, yeah, and laugh. And then say, because look, you're asking more than what even there's listings for or whatever the problem is. And all you're trying to do is just trying to break it down, have a bit of fun, and then get back to the conversation again. Try and use your personality, to get that across. Okay,
nice.
Hey, Gary, while we were talking here, some people started asking questions in Facebook and YouTube. And I'm just going to answer them real quick because I know you guys are watching live. This is from Brooks. Hey, I just jumped on board with the Z code, but I'm in Texas. Would you recommend that how do you recommend I navigate my waters since sandwich lease options aren't as easy or very legal? First of all, Brooks, thanks for the question. In my Simple Lease Options course, I teach you how to do lease options in Texas. And I also teach you, because you can do lease option assignments in Texas, you can't do sandwiches. But if you want to do land contracts or contract for deeds or whatever, I teach you how to do that in the course as well. Cool. A lot of you guys are saying hello. Thank you. Hi, Ralph. Hi, Mike. Mike, what's going on? Mike was also at the mastermind.
Wow.
Kansas City. He's saying hello here.
Yep.
Mike, actually, real quick on that.
Yeah.
Deal.
Oh,
we use his list. So Mike was texting, the guy, the old guy, Gary, can you remember the old
Clive?
guy in his 80s? The seller. He was in his 80s, not Clive, Mike, who sat next to me.
Oh yeah,
From Kansas. So
Yeah.
he had a seller that was in his 80s, had a ton of duplexes, and he set a call up for the Friday. Well, he went on that appointment, got the contract, and moved it straight to a buyer for 15 grand. So
wow, that's awesome. Yeah, there was some question marks about that because we didn't know what that seller was going to be doing. All of a sudden, he found out that the seller was really looking to redevelop another parcel of land or something.
yeah,
We thought he was a tired landlord, but I'm not too sure he was.
yeah. Well, this one was in a different area to the rest, so he's locked that up, and then he's working on getting the rest of them.
Nice, that's awesome.
That is cool because that lead came from well, he had the lead, the list, the phone number. We did a text campaign inside of REI Simple to that seller.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. And Max, you asked this question in YouTube. When you send the offer to the seller, do you guys call them back or when, or you just wait for them to call you? We kind of have already talked about that on this video, but we're going to recommend just one more time, like don't make the offer maybe until you get a deadline or commitment from them that they're going to actually review it and give you a yes or a no by a certain time, right? Set the agenda up front. That'll help you tremendously. Good question. One more question from Jose. Guys, you probably answered this question before. Do you talk to real estate agents about asking their sellers whether they would consider renting and then selling a property? Sometimes. So when I'm talking to a realtor who's got a property, maybe do a lease option. First of all, I put my realtor hat on and I talk to them as I'm a realtor looking for an investment property that I can lease and then buy. And so I will just make it. If I'm talking to the realtor, I'm not going to try to go around the realtor. I'm going to try to work through them and pretend to be their friend and offer to make sure, remind them that I'm going to still make sure you get all your commissions on this deal.
One thing, if I could interject something, I'm starting to do that, but I'm using my strategy to work on the MLS. So I'm going to the realtors. I'm also a realtor. So I'm going to the other realtors and I'm going to start emailing saying, hey, are you negotiable on price? Or is your client negotiable on price? And if they are, I don't mind sending in a cash offer.
Yeah.
Now I can bring in my private lender, cash them out, and then do my strategy where I put a lease option tenant in there and then refi out the property.
I love it. Yeah, that's smart. Cool. So those, just a bunch of other people like Jimmy saying hello, and Ralph and Brooks. Thanks, guys, for the comments. Appreciate it. We got to wrap it up here. Want to tell you guys that you've been hearing us talk a little bit about this mastermind, and these are so much fun. We take our private coaching clients, we sit down with them in a room, and for a day, we just mastermind. Like, hey, what's working in your business? What can you share that can help other people? And what are some challenges that you need? And we go through and keep these small 10, 12 people, and just really kind of, you'll learn more probably by the feedback that other people are getting than sometimes even your own feedback. Walk away with some really good ideas. And we want to invite you to the next one. Hopefully you guys can come out and hang out with Gary. He'll be there as well. Maybe.
I'd love to.
We do them 3 or 4 times a year. We also do a 2-day implementation workshop with new clients. When they come on, we do a 2-day implementation workshop where we help set up their systems and schedule it, start out, do all their marketing, and then teach. We dive deep into talking to sellers. We do role plays. We look at example deals and make offers. And it's a really, it's an opportunity. Every single time we do it, Gavin, we as students walk away with leads or with appointments or with potential deals. And it's so much fun. If you guys are interested in doing that with us, Gary, real quick, did you have a good time? Was it a good into our implementation workshop and our mastermind?
That was great. I did both of them. And first off, the mastermind was unbelievable because it dove deep into a lot of things and it got a lot of stuff on the table that you probably wouldn't talk about in a normal situation. And and it was, I don't know how to say it. You were at ease there. So if you had a problem, you just threw it out there and nobody looked at you differently or judged you weird or whatever. And it's amazing how many people have problems that they don't like to talk about. And it was a nice, safe environment to really get problems out there.
It helps you realize you're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other people struggle with this stuff too. So.
Yep.
Yep.
If you guys are interested in working with me and Gavin and Gary, just go to, I'll give you a link. You can watch a little video, that 45-minute video Gavin and I did called, it's a virtual case study. So go to virtualcasestudy.com, virtualcasestudy.com. I just put that in the chat box, and I think that will go out to Facebook and YouTube, but I'll put it also in there later on if you guys want.
Mhm.
Oh, it looks like it did work. Holy smokes, this is so awesome. I love this. Okay, virtualcasestudy.com. Thank you again, Gary. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Gavin. It's always
Thanks,
a pleasure.
As always. All right.
See you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks again.